Hello.
Hey, good morning.
Are you
Morning, Tammy. Hey, Jock, how are you?
trying to get on top
Doing
of
well.
technology?
I like your hairdo there, my friend.
It was necess it was a necessary it was a necessary change. It had been too long. Wondering how I can. Okay, so that's not going to happen now. Never. I'll remember that for next time. Uh,
Just a reminder, last week session, I didn't receive an email as to the recording.
I didn't have it. I didn't have time to do it. I actually uploaded it a couple of minutes ago.
Okay, cool. Folks, I'd like to introduce you to Kim.
Hi,
Hey,
Kim.
Uh,
Kim.
Kim
Hi.
Funk was well, student wouldn't be a correct word, but was a group of seven of us that I was teaching the principles of divine metaphysics, the Tibetan teachings back in 2007. And so we worked together for quite a while, and I'm going to let Kim introduce herself. And Kim and I have known each other for many years, and she has an understanding of the principles of divine metaphysics. And so, Kim, why don't you go ahead and just say hi to everybody?
Okay. Hi. Nice to meet everyone. And thank you again for inviting me in, Leon. I appreciate it. Um, my background is metaphysics. I am a psychic and medium. I'm a mentor for what I do. I help other people develop themselves so they don't have to come to me for certain aspects of their lives and they can work within themselves. I also am a certified end of life doula. I am also a medical Reiki master, certified in all of that. I'm certified in medical intuitive now. Um, got a lot of bit of everything in my background. I love to help people. I'm here in service to others. So Leon asked me to join yesterday and I accepted. So nice to meet everybody.
So we
Wonderful.
have Jock
Fantastic.
up in the
Nice
top
that you're
left.
here.
We
Yeah.
have Tammy and Eon.
Yeah.
Hi, Tammy. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Kim.
Hi.
Hey, but Eon, how are you?
Shalom, shalom. Very well, thank you.
Lovely. No, that's great. And so you're back in town, Jock?
Yes, I'm back in South Africa and surviving the heat, realizing that my
Okay.
air conditioner in my car decided to take a break. So we're glad that I missed the worst of the heat, but it's good to be back.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Good. So I trust the time in New York was most productive.
Yes, yes, it was. It was a good time to be there, and it was a lot of stuff moved and happened in the process. And like I said, I missed most of the heat, and it was great. My friend that I stayed with, it's a we were both a fair amount of loners, so we don't get to spend time with a lot of other people. So the period of time was a healing and encouraging space for both of us, which was necessary, which was very, very necessary. And yeah, so we're looking at what life is bringing ahead and trying to make sense of the last couple of years of chaos. And so it was just all in all a good time that I wouldn't exchange for anything.
Oh, excellent, excellent. And once again, we all are aware that for three of us, well, Kim's also in Houston. And so Tammy, I, and Kim are in the sanctuary hour at 9 a.m. And so just wish to acknowledge the presence of the higher beings with us in the sanctuary hour. And we thank them and the solar angels, our spiritual parents, for their wonderful, mighty presence. And so it is all good.
Mhm. And it's great to be here. Tammy,
Yes, very much so.
I finally started looking at the video that you sent me. I haven't completely finished it. It's been a bit up and down with the traveling, but it's most fascinating to say the least.
What the video
You
that you
know,
was that from Tammy?
Yes.
Oh my
yes.
goodness. Oh, brilliant.
Which video is this?
Well, I only shared it with Jock. I don't even Jock, I got to tell you the truth. I'm having a difficult time remembering what it was about, but while I was listening to it, Jock kept coming to mind, and I felt like you would find it fascinating as I did. But hey, Lisa,
Hi,
Hi,
Lisa.
Lisa.
yeah, but
It's
yeah, I can't remember.
it's about the simulation universe, about how reality is actually potentially a simulation that we exist in, and how consciousness is constructed within the different modalities of consciousness and constructed within this simulated universe, and how that plays out. I've only started looking at about the first hour of it. It's a 3-hour talk, so I haven't gone through it, but there's a lot of opinions that I
Yes.
have, but but the basic premise is that the reality as we see it is a construct of a simulation, which I think is accurate, but not as a simulation as something foreign or external. Uh,
Right.
the ultimate simulation, if that
Yes.
that makes sense, because you can't. The big thing about information theory and about sources, you cannot be outside of source and know of source's existence. So everything that is contained within source is this simulation and is source experiencing itself. So it's not a
Yes.
us versus them, but us experiencing us in our fullness, um, as individual actualization agents. So it was fascinating. Yeah, I'm going to continue to. I'm going to finish the talk. Yeah.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Good.
It so reminds me of in realizing that everything that we see is the effect of this individualization of source. And
Yes.
so us as humans in this incredible garment, this instrument, is but the effect of the creative principle
Yes.
expressing itself in and through us as it is in everything. And so if you look at everything that we see, and I'm getting a greater understanding of this, everything that we see is an interpretation by the mind, okay? Because the eye sees a vibration, and that vibration is taken up into the brain, and the brain interprets that vibration. And by our experience and our knowledge and our growing up, that we know that this is a tree, we then label it a tree. But we're only seeing vibrations. We're not seeing a tree. The
Yes.
mind is interpreting this incredible vibration, and this incredible vibration carries tones. And so everything in life is tones. And so we radiate these incredible tones as well. And so we're in perfect harmony with it. But in reality, the reality is within. Everything external is the illusion.
You know, I would say to that collectively we have it in the garden of the mind, in the collective one mind, we've created nature. That when we see the tree, it is part of us, it's part of what we pushed out. Now, when it comes to other things, they become what it's you could say it's all illusionary, uh, but there's like this point where we began to push out ridiculousness, and that has brought us to a point of desiring to wake up to who we are, which is what we are doing now. And our awareness of the, let's call it simulation, uh, and our awareness of who we are gives us authority or domain over the garden. So we've been working the garden, tilling our weeds out, which is our little minds, tilling it up. And so now we're learning to navigate or to till new ideas, new thoughts, new innovations in the simulation. And Yeah, I think it's fascinating. There's so many different views or ways to consider this time that we are living in. It's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, I use the term illusionary loosely because for most of
Yes.
humanity, um, what's external is reality to humanity for the most part. So if you ask anybody, what's reality to you? And it's, oh, it's my house, my home, my job, my parents, my family. But the reality is the creative principle.
Yes.
That creative principle that brought about us.
Mm.
And we, and the biggest thing to me is realizing that we are since the beginning because
I am reality. Yes, yes.
it is one mind,
Yes.
and that is the reality
Mm, mm,
that we were the creators of the garden, as Tammy
mm,
said.
Yes.
mm.
Yes. Yes. I started thinking this morning. I used to read a lot of novels. So first I was a child and I pretended, and it was so real what I pretended. And then as a young adult, I read novels and I could get into that novel. I mean, I walked down those streets
Yeah.
in the books. And then I laid the novels aside. I haven't read one in, oh my goodness, a couple of decades, but now when I read and I observe, it's all the spiritual. So when I reflect back, hindsight's 2020, I recognize what I pushed out. It's living outside of me.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
And you know
fascinating.
the funny thing is that we do this together with other people through dynamic agreement. There's a dynamic agreement between us that allows for the reality to be created between us.
Well, that dynamic agreement is the one life.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
But I mean,
Yes.
in terms of what Tammy is saying, that in agreement with others, what you're experiencing, it was an agreement with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And it's also
It
the
does.
allowance to allow everybody else to have their own experience.
Yes, yes.
I think the collective agreement is more the nature of the
Mm,
garden.
mm, mm,
And then when we get into nationalities, cultures, things
mm,
like this, the collective becomes much smaller.
mm,
And
mm,
then it goes so small as to individual. And then the individual awakens. And when the individual awakens, they begin to expand.
mm,
And now they realize that they are the nation, they are the culture, and then they are the world, and then they are the nature. And that is changing the tone within us all. And the symphony, the harmony of all of us awakening to that begins to shape shift what we call
mm,
reality.
mm,
I
mm,
think that's what we're seeing.
mm,
And
mm.
it's a little chaotic out there right now, but it's because it's shape shifting. It's in the middle of change.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and the beauty about the way you express that, Tammy, is that in the evolution of our spiritual growth, we do become bigger because our
Yes.
consciousness expands in relation to that expansion. And so, as you said, we are the individualization, we are the cultures, we are the nationalities, we are the nations, and then we're the planetary system, and then we're the
Mm,
universe. And
mm,
so it's
Yes.
mm.
just an ever
Yes.
expanding thing, which is just crazy, incredible, amazing, lovely.
Which is why architects have had this vision of a galactic reality. I mean, we're creating the galactic reality. It doesn't exist without us, and we're pushing it out from within the spirit. So it's like the tree. The tree is that I am. pushed out. So I don't have to go and harmonize with the tree. I have to find the tree within myself and discover the harmony that's already there.
Already there. Yeah, yeah. Harmony is always there.
Because the tree is as conscious as I am, the tree is actually part of my ancestry. It is just as much
Most
part of my
likely.
ancestry as the amoeba or the whatever else came before me.
Lisa, what did you just say hi to Kim? Kim's new to the group, and you guys didn't have a chance to say hello.
Hi, Lisa.
Oh, hi, Kim. Good
Hi.
morning. I'm
I
just
have to
waking up.
say, Lisa, your hair looks stunning. I love it like that. And Kim, you've got beautiful hair also.
Oh, thank you.
Hey,
Thank
Lisa,
you.
how are you
I'm
feeling?
I'm feeling a lot better, but I've been waking up in the morning. Like I go to sleep, and it's like I'm immediately out until 8 or 9 hours later, and then boop, I bleep back in. And so I feel like I'm like, oh, am I still walking around? Oh, I had 2 cents to add to all this. Um, you know, on the sound table, the program for frequencies has, you can kind of do anything. We touched on this the last time, about the idea that everybody is in and of ourselves a little musical, visual symphony. And then when you take that instrument and overlap it with another instrument, it becomes a different type of melody or song. But it's funny because I've been thinking about this for a week. But so what makes a liver cell, and say it's bumped up next to the skeletal system, and so the rib, it becomes a rib. And so what differentiates the liver cell from the bone cell, because they vibrate at a different frequency and a different sound. Anyway, as I was listening to you, I was thinking that, yes, we all become part of the collective, but I wonder if there is in lieu of a different way to say it, but I wonder if like there's a whole collection of liver people and bone people, and then that orchestrated thing, meaning that what if, we're part tree and our collective consciousness goes there, and somebody else is a mountain. Does that make sense?
Makes
Do you
perfect
mind?
sense. Sorry, because I think you answered your own question.
Ah,
When you expressed that liver cell vibrates at a different rate and sound than the bone cell.
Mm,
Okay.
right.
However, in that individualization of that liver cell and that bone cell, it is part of the one body. You
Yes.
can't take out that liver cell.
Yeah.
Okay. It is the one wholeness of the body, just as we are the cells of the creative principle of all that there is.
Yes.
If you look at it as a
That is
symphony,
the symphony.
if
Right.
you look at it as a symphony, as an orchestra, the conductor, which is life or source, conducts different instruments to play their part in a movement of music.
Yeah, yeah.
At some
It's
points in time, you're
incredible.
quiet. At another time, you come. But we're each an individual instrument with our own tone, our own melodies, and all of that. And
Yeah.
some of us group together like the violins, some of us group together like the trumpets and the wind instruments and all of these things. So you've got the strings, you've got the winds, and all of the different aspects of the orchestra. But we're all being conducted by life. And so we can choose to we can all choose to actually follow the conduction of life or source, or we can choose to play our own song.
Correct. And the more you know your own instrument, the finer tuned it becomes.
Right, right.
Life is a process of attunement. Yes, self-attunement.
Another thing that your analogy brings out, which I wanted to mention earlier regarding recognizing the tree, or recognizing it's not so much an illusion as a collective manifestation of everybody's frequencies that they're giving off.
Yes.
It is illusionary in that it's just the projections, but where two or more projections overlap, it starts to gain substance. And if you look at Fourier transforms, you can break everything down to frequencies, like literally no matter how complex it is, you can bring it down to frequencies. But if you don't have, if it spikes on tree, if you don't have that spike in your registry, you won't be able to perceive the tree. Just like the DNA has the collective knowledge of the collective blueprint of the entire body, it just finds unique expression. But the memory of the heart cell is still within
the field, the morphogenic field.
So those patterns are there, and if it's maladjusted, if the pattern is not there, and it needs to find expression. So I think there's a collective way of, as we come together, it's the different pieces of that which has not yet been fully realized or fully manifest gets placed together to make new patterns. And
Yes.
so like, and as you find your unique expression, you're radiating into your immediate environment much harder than the signal attenuates as it reaches out from you. But that's why it's important to have your core and your being cultivated. And the more that those cultivation comes across, the more it creates constructive interference, where those harmonies come into existence and bring forth reality, which is, I think, what's busy happening. And the finer we tune, the finer those manifestations will be. So but you cannot see anything or perceive anything if it's not already within you.
Yeah,
and that's
Right.
actually what I meant
Agreed.
with. That's actually what I meant with dynamic agreement. Between us, we agree on in a sense on what is happening between us. As you said, the frequencies coalesce to create a tree.
Tammy, you were going to say something?
I was well, I do agree. I think that we're very powerful beings. And there are different layers of illusion. So, like the tree, because the human mind understands the tree, more people are able to see the tree.
Yes.
But as we advance and our tone changes, our symphony within us, our makeup, and then our agreement with that, it's like everything is very natural. That's why this has been a step-by-step process, is because we've been slowly expanding. But let's say the six of us right now see something beyond what we have ever seen before. We can see it. We've pushed it out with our intention, I guess you could say, and we can see it, but the rest of the world cannot see it. However, as our toroidal field continues to play the symphony of our being, more and more people will be able to see that we're seeing.
Yes.
Yeah, it reminds me of the story of the Indians in South America when the Spaniards were coming over in the boats. Only the shamans saw those big boats coming, because nobody had ever seen a boat like that.
Yes.
Until they were on, and then they called them gods. Once they landed, they called them gods because it was so far beyond what their minds could conceptualize. And I
that's
think this
exactly,
is, yeah. Go ahead,
exactly
Leon.
what we're doing in this
Yes.
gathering, the six of us. Is our consciousness is the consciousness of all that there is, whilst at varying degrees.
Yes.
In that expansion of our consciousness, we're affecting the consciousness of every soul on this earthly plane, because that consciousness is the one consciousness.
Exactly.
That's
And
right.
remember that we are playing the tune that source is conducting. So the music
Right,
we are
yeah.
making, the tone that we are making, is conducted by source. And so everyone that aligns with the conduction of source, if that makes sense, is playing the same music. And so together, whether they're in this meeting or in other places, what is being imagined, what is being intended, will come to pass, because it's part of what life or source is emerging.
Yeah, I love the
You
way you
could,
said that, Lisa, in terms of as you finally tune the instrument.
yes,
In tuning
yes.
instrument, we become the symphony.
You could say that we are source pushed out.
Yeah,
I and my Father are one,
right, right.
right?
That brings us back to
So,
that.
one thing that I know we've been talking about for the last 12 years is the golden age. Now, we did not know 12 years ago what that looked like. In 2012, we didn't know what the golden age would look like. However, I believe the six of us are able to see it. We see it like it's hazy, but it's here.
Yes.
Yeah, we know that it is. We don't know what it is,
Yes.
but we know that it is.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yes. So if we wonder what we are, what we are pushing out, what or creating, depending upon what word you're most comfortable with, it's the golden age. But we don't dictate what that looks like. We allow it to reflect back to us
to emerge.
so that we can
Yes.
experience it. Because we're source.
Yes.
We are source pushed out.
Indivisible, inseparable.
Like goosebumps. Just
How are you,
kidding.
how are you feeling, Kim? There's a lot of being talked about, and hopefully we're not drowning you out.
No, I'm absorbing. I'm being the sponge.
No,
Okay.
no, that's absolutely fine. I'm just checking in.
Thanks.
Because I've the last while I've been going back to basics and coming to the question is to why am I here, knowing everything that I know, but there's also practicalities of what should be done and what should be focused on, and what work is it that should be done, and where should I focus my energies. And it is here. It is, and a big part of that is as you see this golden age, like as being in this company, reveals and manifests understanding that of what is to come, that I cannot see on my own. What I live understand. I do, however, know of a lot of the breadcrumbs that exists within reality, which scientists and philosophers and mathematicians have very studiously worked out, and I'm trying to connect that to this vision that's like, this is where it comes in. This is all part of the same thing, so that you can work the network from both sides, because we need to see, the more people need to see reality differently in order for it to come to pass, because there is.
Funny that you go ahead, Tammy.
I would just add to that in this new age or new reality, we feel first. Our intuition tells us, and then our mental body will construct the story, but it constructs the story after our heart tells us how it feels.
Yes.
So in the past, we would see something and then we would think, how do I feel about that, and articulate from that point. But it's exactly the opposite. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think we're learning to drive using, or allowing, I should say, allowing our intuition to guide us.
And
Yeah.
I'd like to add to that. In our maturation, as we expand, as our consciousness expands, okay, the many houses of God or planes of consciousness, it is God Himself that is revealing His consciousness in us.
Yes, yes,
And so as you pointed out, Jock, you're putting all these things together, but in this maturation, we are realizing that it is God Himself in us, through us, that we are now the thinkers. But
Yes.
we are the thinker in the creative principle,
Yes.
not
yes, yes,
not the mortal
yes, yes,
construct.
yes, yes,
And so
yes.
our whole elevated thinking process is at source.
The video that, sorry, Tammy.
I was just going to say, Jock, like what you're working on, like the technology that you are working on, if you trust your feelings, you won't have to figure out what to do. You'll be
Exactly.
busy,
Yeah.
but you'll be busy following your intuition on how to bring it, together.
Yeah, because that's a big thing at the moment, because um the there's the reality that's been sketched out and normal plans that one makes in these programs, but that's not really what's busy transpiring in reality, and it's morphing into different fields and different corners. It's The challenge has been to keep it alive while it plays out, rather than end it prematurely, because there's many reasons to end it, because because of technical issues or difficulties with training, or but there's so many other things that's sitting alongside of it that makes the exploration worthwhile to continue for as long as it can, so that there's already been a lot of answers that has come out of it, that otherwise has not been seen. So it's this mode of discovery that has actually just sped up.
Yeah, but the more attention you place on it, okay, you've already set out your intention and you're developing this construct, okay? The more attention you place on it, that thought process of your intention goes out into the ether, and that's why you're seeing this already coming to fruition, because it's now joining up with all the other etherons out there. And so the atoms are all gathering together because
Yeah,
more power and attention is given to it.
yeah, because
And that's the expansion and that's the realization.
the main, it seems as if the main drive of it is, how do we collectively function together? It's more of a new governance system than it is a project, a little AI project. It's how do we collectively mediate our needs and our desires for the benefit of all, given this new possibilities that have entered into existence. But that has to be spoken into being, and one has to do with the small building blocks to get there. So, but one must also have an overarching idea of how will this all work together, and speak to one another, and listen to us as individuals for it to actually be able to do what it's set out to do, if that makes
It's
sense.
fascinating.
It does.
It's fascinating to me that even though Jock and I are working on the same project, we both have two different. It's not necessarily different, but we have different viewpoints. For me, it's about integration, and which is not different to what Jock is doing, or what Jock sees. But in terms of the experimentation, what I'm seeing is coming to pass, because that's the thing that I'm putting my mind towards.
Right.
As Jock is seeing what's coming to pass, as he's putting his mind towards that, the other aspect of the same project, and that's quite amazing. That's quite amazing, as what you said, Leon.
Yeah, just remember in your thought, remember the thought is the manifestation.
Yes, yes,
Okay. And that's when Christ says, pray as if you've received. So when you know in your consciousness that you are the creative principle, your thought is the manifestation. And that manifestation is now going to work to gather up everything else that is required to make that manifestation come into form. So
He
it's all
also
working
said,
together.
seek and ye shall find. So what we have intended is the only thing we should be seeking, not its
yes, yes,
opposite.
Yes.
Right,
yes,
right.
So that's why some of us, all of
yes,
us here, can see the golden age coming, is because we're seeking the seeing of the golden age.
yes.
Um,
Now,
Oh,
what's
yeah.
I
yeah,
I have about 5 cents to add to this. Um, so two things. Last time that I was here, I was thinking about, does anybody know what Paralandra flower essences are?
No,
Or does anyone know what a flower essence is? But I'll give you my
yes,
variation of it. A flower essence is essentially the energetic or spiritual aspects of a plant that works to fill in gaps in our energy field, because everything in nature seeks balance. We seek balance, but in nature, it's a different process of it. Anyway, so one of the things about taking flower essences is it helps you in a natural way because of our innate formulation as humans. Anyway, so put that over there to the left for a second. The other thing, and I spoke to Tammy one time about this in reference to sound frequency. If I was looking at a ruler, 12 inches, in the center of the ruler would be 6 inches for hypothetical processes. Consider that point the 0 point. So there's 6 inches to the left and 6 inches to the right. And normally, harmonically, people say that, it would be a positive or a negative. And I'd say buffer that a little bit. But if I was to play a 528 frequency to the right of the 0 point field, there's a corresponding 528
sympathetic
frequency to
resonance.
the left. So it's 528 minus 528 plus, but in the center is me. So as these sound frequencies go back and forth to that degree, you're experiencing the same continuum. And the point I'm trying to make is that the minus 528 frequency isn't out of tune or out of pitch. It's in complete balance with it. It's just like listening to a low note on the piano as opposed to the high note. You don't want to sit there and just hear ding, 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 or boom, boom, boom. There's a whole lot of stuff going in. But when you can set those two frequencies because of the polarity, you're able to hold that frequency. Now, if you were correlating that to an emotion, you could say, well, this might be despair and this might be joy, the 528 frequency. So, in conclusion, what I'm trying to say is one time I reached an extreme depth of despair. When afterwards I realized upon thinking about it that perhaps I reached that emotional charge, or AKA vibrational charge, so that I could see it in other people. It became a little imprint. I didn't stay there, but it became an imprint on the energetic field of my nature. So there had to be a corresponding thing to that. So if I was to continue to observe that in a disharmonic way, then it would be off pitch and it would create a miasm or a dysfunction in my field. But if I was to just allow it, so it's sort of like the Buddha saying you could be in, in the worst situation and be at peace. Okay. So anyway, in reference to the way that flower essences work, they just continue to modify or correlate their being. But as humans, we're getting, the overlap with other people that have a similar vibration, like everybody's description or emotion of rage would be describable energetically and verbally, but it's sort of the same vibration. So when you're looking at corresponding groups of people, like, yeah, we're here cultivating a golden age because our overlapping fields are vibrationally adapting. So what I've solved in my energetic field might be a remedy to somebody else, right? And that would be almost like a flower essence of sorts. So, okay, the end.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, Lisa, because that is so beautiful. Because your experience in that state of despair,
Right.
okay, gave you an opportunity to realize that, as you say, in others. But the magic of it is because you've seen the contrast and you're now at this higher frequency, call it the positive for lack of a better description, your frequency vibration in the observation of the other immediately raises the other. And you don't
And
have
also,
to say, and you don't have to say a single word.
and it
Right.
also allows you to actually, in the depths of despair, to be able to through sympathetic resonance, experience the joy on the other end of the spectrum.
Correct.
And you invite that joy that you're observing in another that doesn't have it. And
Yes,
so
yes.
just because you've seen that contrast and experienced it, you're elevating that person in observation.
Because
Correct. That's the potential, right? Like there's
Right.
it's just a continuum. Oh, yeah.
if I, Lisa, like you said, like you experience the depth of despair, but you've got the balancing frequency of joy that has come to even in out, but you have observed the despair. Just because you've observed it, you have knowledge of it. It doesn't mean that you're vibrating at that frequency. Just like we
Mm.
need to have knowledge of the tree to see the tree, one must have that knowledge, and you have that knowledge of the despair, so you can see it in others genuinely and connect genuinely with it. But you also have the counterpoint of the joy that comes with it, which opens up the possibility for those who are in despair, first of all, that they can be seen by someone genuinely, as well as be shown what is the alternative, to be introduced to the antidote, because you have walked the spectrum and come back into balance. Because the flower essence is exactly just that. It just helps balancing out the
Yes.
characters of the flower, balances out the imbalances that us in human beings, but that equilibrium always remains. And just like weather changes, it flows and new aspects are revealed. And sometimes we go back there, but if we go back there, we also know that there will be a spring after a cold winter. So it's wisdom that comes with seeing the spectrum and being able to articulate it and open it up for others.
Mm-hmm. It's
I
the
would
patience.
add to that. What's that,
Yeah.
Lisa?
Oh, I was just saying it's the patience to observe however long it takes to change, it will change, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
If we take the human part out and we look at the outer reality, we can see the contrast. I knew so, and I think we discussed this a decade ago, that as more and more people awakened, there would be more and more chaos because of the frequency between the two. So just like you said, there's always got to be an opposite frequency. So as we look out at the world, this is how we know the golden age is here, is because the negative is loud and the positive, what we call positive, is loud. And when we in the center can accept both, then we hear a symphony. And we know the symphony is a tone of the golden age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
What I love
that
about
is harmony itself.
what I love
Yes.
about this analogy is that, and Lisa put it beautifully, a tuning.
Yes.
Each of us have to tune our instrument, and that's part of what's happening at this point in time, in terms of if we play in our, how do we put this, in our fleshliness, in our unenlightened or unawakened state, it is off, out of tune, because the instrument has not been tuned. But the more we awaken, the more we tune the instrument, and then the music, and even though it is out of tune and all of that, it still forms part of the symphony that is happening as part of as part of the whole.
That's right.
Because
Everybody's
sympathetic
playing.
resonance dictates that whatever is played on the one side must be experienced on the other side. It's just part of nature.
That's right.
There's
It's
a
like going
And
to a grade school symphony
yes.
concert, and then
Yeah.
Please stop, it hurts.
oh yeah, a little tweak there.
Some of us are only playing a triangle. Ding, ding, ding.
Cowbell.
there's a I've been Vinny while I was with him. So he does a lot of remixes and he's got access to. I don't know if you guys know Laura Branigan and the song Self Control. But he got hold of the hello. Hello. Hello.
We were just saying that the two of you left and jumped into the ether quickly so you can have a private conversation because you froze here on our screens.
You all froze for me as well.
The technology is technologying. But what I wanted to say, Vinny got hold of the digitized master recordings of Laura Branigan's Self Control, and he was busy doing a remix of it. It's beautiful to actually just like hear the pure vocals of Laura as she's busy singing it. But what had happened is as they were, because the mic is so sensitive, it picked up the headphones which playing the song which she's singing to. And so if you do it in the remix, it doesn't. There's so many other things going on and so many other loud noises that you can't hear the headphone bleed in the ultimate mix. However, when he took the time and systematically cut out everything that where she wasn't singing and made it dead quiet, and it's amazing the clarity that you hear in the final product, just because that noise isn't there. But it takes time to cultivate our own. It's like a tuning ourselves, like a tuning the words, like that headphone shouldn't be in there, and this should be moved a little bit forward, a little bit back, because they didn't have computerized instrumentation back then. So they were playing to a bass drum that Yuma said it's always just drifting. So he had to like manually go put everything in its right place, and then it comes together. But something as small as headphone bleed and the effort that it takes to take it out is considerable. But you can hear it in the end product.
Yeah. That's with us too.
You know what's
We
strange
feel it
enough,
in the end product.
that's exactly what happens. That's exactly what happened and is still happening with me in terms of integrating. It takes effort to take out the headphone bleed, because there's noise, and it takes effort to take it out, but it is worth it in the end. And that's part of tuning the instrument.
Mhm.
Beautiful is that instrument is continually
Mm,
enhanced, never
mm,
stops.
mm,
So the
mm,
tuning becomes more and more and more precise.
mm,
And the symphony gets better and better and better and better.
mm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We've covered a lot in a very short amount of time.
Kim,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on what you've heard so far?
Like I said, I'm trying to get collectively everything that you're saying and assimilate it in within myself. It's nice to be around intelligent individuals seeking for more and looking inward. Most people are looking outward. So this group to me is it's a little intimidating right now. I'm just going to tell you because I'm not
Oh.
sure if I'm in over my head or not. I'm like, okay, Leon, what am I contributing? How am I fitting in here? I'm trying to figure all that out to see where I fit with everybody here. You know, I like what I'm hearing. I understand what I'm hearing, and I agree with what I'm hearing. I just don't usually hear people talk to this or speak to this much. So it's nice. But again, I'm trying to figure out, Leon, where am I going to fit? How do I help? How do I contribute?
Kim, I'd like to give you a piece of candy to suck on, which requires no intellectualization. Okay?
Okay.
And
Okay.
that piece of candy is don't try and figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't try and figure it out.
Yeah.
Got it.
When you try and figure
Just,
it out,
yeah.
you're confining yourself to what you know.
Yeah.
So just
And
let it evolve.
soon the soul will just start bubbling out of your mouth, and we'll all be
Mm.
enlightened, yourself included, because of it. Because when we come on these gatherings, we never have a plan. It just starts by itself, and we just let it flow, and then we're all raised up because of it. Yeah.
Okay.
We've had
It's
some
amazing.
crazy gatherings. I mean, last week was just
Yeah.
such an incredible technical discussion, which I didn't think
That
my
was
brain could speak technically last week, but for some reason it understood it.
So, and just to put context to what you're saying, Kim, like you're asking us your contribution. By your own words, you understood what was being said.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and that is an immense amount of energy and thought that you have gifted to the group to take what is being
Yes.
said on board, and not just having it dismiss it offhand or feeling as if you should contribute, but the process of taking it on board is another echo in the manifestation of the field, or in the collective manifestation of it. So just it's not the first time that someone has sat in the meeting and not felt that they had something to say. It's perfectly fine, but just taking it on board, and as you've said, that you've understood what is being said, that has resonance and repercussions, because there's more that is in agreement, and
Yes.
it's done via effort on your part, and it's appreciated.
Just
Thank
your
you, Chuck.
presence, just your
Mm,
presence is
mm.
the
Just your
contribution.
presence. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because part of what you need to understand is that the fact that you are able to resonate at this space with us helps you to also, as we've said before, the polar opposite with the people that you normally deal with gives you the opportunity to see, but there's a corresponding situation, and now you can appreciate both, and therefore see both see the corresponding frequency in the people that you're working with.
I agree.
Does anybody, have you ever heard of the nonprofit called Playing for Change?
No?
Okay, well, it started many years ago. with a man who was out just recording street musicians. And I think the song was Stand By Me. And they had this inspiration to go around the world and record in all different countries the same song with people playing different musical instruments or adding vocals to it. Anyway, they did a poll of the number one artist or AKA song that almost every country, when they went into any record store, there was a copy of Bob Marley's One Love. And so everybody in all these countries had some recollection of that song, and then they began to play it. So you could go on YouTube and look up Playing for Change and the different songs that they do. They have albums and things like that. But what I was thinking of is that in reference once again to the song that we're all playing, it's just, and all these little instruments. I really like the idea that if we were to go out vibrationally and contribute to every area that we're all in, what would be the sound or the frequency or the harmonic? And the first thought I had was, well, it would be one of those melodies or songs that would just stay in your ear, that you would just keep humming along to. Like sometimes to have grandiose ideas of, healing the entire world, but wouldn't it be sweet to have a melody that almost felt like a cool breeze and it came past and you couldn't, like the inclination would just be to listen as opposed, or sing along maybe. Anyway, check out Playing for Change.
I have seen that. It's amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
So what's your song, Lisa?
Well, that's funny that you say that, but I do like the one Bobby McFerrin's song, Don't Worry, Be Happy, with the whistling. I always like to whistle to that, but I listen to a lot of classical music, so I don't know. I do like a good Doris Day ditty.
Funny enough, when you said that, the first song that came to mind, and but that's just me, is in the book of Revelations, it says the angels constantly over and over sing, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, just and true," blah blah blah. And when you said that, that's the first thing that came to mind. I thought, oh my God, yes, we're all singing "Holy, holy, holy," because oh, good Lord, I'm getting goose flesh.
Yeah.
But all the other songs are contained in that, and but
Yeah.
yes, the beautiful, for me, the song that's current for me is "Dreams," like that you all have heard it before. I've heard it many times.
So there's a I don't know if you remember, it was run about the pandemic. Actually, a little bit before that, there was it's actually a South African song called Jerusalema, which had this dance challenges, which the school it first started in school children with schools doing it. I don't know if you've come across it. So I was actually sitting one day talking to my mother on Zoom, and then all of a sudden there was a group of people dancing behind us. So it was the office that was busy doing the Jerusalem challenge. So what they so it was a big South African thing, and then it became a thing amongst schools that did it as a challenge to one another. So this is Limpopo is one of the poorest parts of South Africa, and this is now the flavor of it is Limpopo house music. And the song is about Jerusalem being our home, and how and how we will be carried there as it does. So what happened? Sorry, I feel this is maybe a stretch, but at least I did sort of when you were explaining this, and I'm definitely going to look for the listening for change of what you said. It's already open. As the airlines were shut down, the airlines started doing the Jerusalem Challenge as a way to keep the spirits up. So this is. I actually want to play the one from Austrian Airlines, which for me, so it's this African house song towards which a dance which is done by an Austrian airline company. Which ironically is the home of Hitler, singing about how, and it's literally done in front of an Airbus, which is a bus in the air that is supposed to taking as to all this technology and everything just sort of comes together.
Please play it.
So, but it's Austrians doing Limpopo House Kwaito in front of an Airbus. Talking about how to carry us home to Jerusalem.
Oh yeah.
Jerusalema ikhaya lami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikhaya lami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze
I think you get the idea, but it's just this resonance of song and dance and to something as simple as a Limpopo house song.
Carrying us to our home, our spiritual home, which is Jerusalem, the New Jerusalem and the New Earth, all of that.
I love it.
Very cool. I liked it. It was actually quite emotional.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wiping away the tears.
Yeah, it's an incredibly powerful song, and it's been actualized in so many different, in this very unique way that's sort of been going around, and I think that's that's just what when Lisa was explaining about this song of change, it resonates around the world, and even normal songs that any song that have emotional connection to brings that vibration of the song song with it.
I
Bing,
agree.
bing, 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 bing. Exactly. Didn't y'all feel like getting up and wiggling a little? Like, weren't you captivated? Weren't you know like you're that's exactly it.
Right. I'm glad I
Yeah.
understood the assignment, Lisa.
You get 3 hugs and an A+. Good job. Yes.
Yeah, Lisa, I have to say I conveyed to Tammy in a conversation when I met you for the first time in the group just how playful you are. And I really love your playfulness. You certainly have a wonderful ability to express your inner child.
Yes.
And
Well,
that inner child comes
thank you.
from insanely profound and deep wisdom.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
as you give the explanations, like it just brings all the theories and the mathematics to bear. It's like, oh, this is what you're talking about. This is what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, Lisa.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you all.
I was laughing at myself because I like to make little dioramas about stuff, and I thought it would be really fun someday if we all like showed our whimsy. Like I have a miniature ladybug that is playing a drum.
Oh.
You know what? I also always loved drawing snails. Snails to me are the cutest little animals. They're very stubborn and they do not listen. You can actually talk to other animals and you can ask them to leave and all that, but snails do not listen. They have their own. They are stubborn as hell. So you can ask them to leave your garden. They just don't. Ants you can ask to leave, all the other, but snails just never do. They walk slowly and deliberately.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I even said something the other night in a prayer of gratitude was, God, I'm finally beginning to appreciate mosquitoes.
Please explain.
End of winter. It's the end of winter. It's easy to say that, Leon.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's because they haven't been around. Yeah, yeah. The intent behind it was instead of seeing them as such a pestilence, just to observe them for what they are. God knows why He has them, yeah. And
They're bloodsuckers for sure.
yep. And
The little vampires.
yeah. One day I observed Mason, who's a very sprout young, being a mosquito landed on him, and normally my reaction would be to swat it. What does Mason do? He just takes his finger and just pushes it off.
Wrong hotel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least have the decency of asking first.
Excuse me, is there vacancy? No.
Luckily, yours doesn't come with all the diseases that we have with them down here.
Right.
Mm.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
Although no, not going to go there.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no. That is just that perception of diseases
Mm.
is a perception.
that's true.
It's just disharmony, not
That's all it is.
understanding your own symphony.
That's all it is. Yep, just disharmony.
Or
Yeah.
an activation to get you to pay attention to something that needs soothing.
And
Right.
It's true.
Right.
and it's also
Yeah.
it's also an artifact or a barometer of how far the light has penetrated the earth.
Mm.
So in the northern parts of Botswana, we've got so the Okavango of the Okavango River comes down this way. And the Chobe River goes this way. So Maun is at the bottom. We've got a place on the main stream of the Okavango River, and they only recently built a bridge. Busy constructing Italians are constructing a bridge over the Okavango River. It's not been bridged anywhere, so the area between on the other side of the river is I've seen cases of leprosy in the
Oh, wow.
because it is so remote. So you'd find an ox there's no wheels or anything, just a wooden cart which is being dragged along like a sled, because there's no access. There's literally not been access for civilization and for information to come in. And as this bridge has been established, all of a sudden leprosy and all these things are being dealt with, because the information and the know-how and the access to, is finally being granted to a part of the earth that has never had access to it, and it was cut off by a river. So it's I believe all of this disease is just that it's just that dissonance, and we're systematically figuring out how to remove that dissonance, but it's still in places where we haven't.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the analogy makes sense.
Oh, perfect.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Evolution. Constructive evolution.
Oh, what a glorious day we live.
We do.
For such a time as this.
Mhm.
A beautiful time. And on that note, I'm going to say I need to part. I have other things to take care of. I wish to thank you all. What an honor it is to be in your mighty presence. Peace and love be with you. Thank you.
Likewise.
Peace and love. Peace and love to you all.
It's truly a
God
privilege.
bless.
Thank you for being here.
Nice
Au
meeting
revoir.
everybody.
Likewise, Kim.
Nice to meet you, Kim.
Okay.
Lovely that
Can't
you're
wait
here.
to see you again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
Cheers, Lisa. Bye, Jock.
Hugs.
Tammy,
Mhm.
Ian.
Bye.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye.